Okay, we're here. If you missed it, U.S. Women's National Team lost 2-1 to Portugal. It wasn't good. If you were here at halftime, you already kind of know how I feel about it. It was a mess. There's not really a lot else to say about. I mean, I don't really know what to say. It was a mess. It didn't get better in the second half. I think that we just came out really structurally disjointed. I don't think we came in with the right game plan at all. With the way we had the outside backs playing was a problem, especially when you factor in that you've got somebody playing on a different side than they did. Heaps shouldn't be starting. I mean, the central midfield was a mess. It's not even just a Heaps issue. It was structurally like they were just never in a place that made sense. And it was just disappointing. So other midfield combos need to be explored. I agree. We cannot be reliant on a Lindsay Heaps midfield. Like you just can't. For multiple reasons. That was rough. Yeah, and I do agree with I actually listened to some of the post-match stuff. I don't generally. That's why I was on here a little bit later. I usually just jump right on with y'all pretty quick. But I did want to hear what Emma had to say about this because this was bad. It was the worst I've seen them play in the Emma Hayes era. Coffee made a comment they played too individually. I think she was frustrated with other midfielders. She was super isolated. No, I mean, I agree. She should be frustrated. That was why at halftime when we were talking about Coffee, I'm like, I don't know how much of this I would put on her. Because she was not put in a good spot, right? Because she couldn't rely on where the other midfielders were going to be. They were just vibesing. And she couldn't really rely on where the center backs were going to be either. But she also was not in the right spot a lot of the time. So I don't know. They just all looked very disjointed. And again, folks, if you are new here, I am on TikTok. I'm also on YouTube. So if my eyes look like they're going different places, that's why. You have a much greater chance of me seeing your comment and answering your question if you are on YouTube. That is not because I prefer one platform or the other. It is just because there are way less people on YouTube generally. Let's see. I thought Tara played a lot better the second half, more clearances and had great through balls, but I think Sonnet is hard to work off of. She seems so chaotic. And then ACFC Thompson, greater than Chelsea Thompson. She had awful. Dude, Alyssa Thompson in the final third killed me. That was a rough watch because she'd break through. And then it was like, let's just go right at this player, but not or play a ball right into them. It was just bizarre. Thank you to my friend Caitlin, who is my real life friend who thinks it's fun to send roses. But yeah, I thought Tara did have a better second half as well. But it's, is Sonnet is not my favorite center back. Okay. I don't personally care for her there. I think that she is not, her positioning is off sometimes. So that's not good, but she is the one that you're going to play here. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't think McKeown's positioning is always super strong because she's newer at center back. So it's a lot of people that I don't think hold the line super well. It's an issue. Let's see. Germa makes such a huge difference. Naomi Germa's the best center back in the world. She can play next to anybody, and it's going to be relatively okay because that's Naomi Germa. Thoughts on the midfield? I don't have anything nice to say. I don't think Heaps and Lavelle, you can play them together. I don't. I think I've held that opinion for a long time. I don't think you can play them together. No. And I think Coffee needed more support earlier on. So, you either gotta, especially when you've got two center backs that are newer together or aren't gelling, you gotta shore that up with a double pivot, I think. Let's see. Coffee looked good. I wouldn't go that far. No. Why do you think Emma Hayes keeps playing the combo of Lindsay and Rose? I think that they are two of her best players. I genuinely think this is can I get them both on the pitch at the same time in a way that works, right? And a friendly is a good place to keep trying that out. And the good news is you get to play Portugal again in a few days and try something different because whatever the hell this was, it didn't work. So let's see. I want to see a Lily Rose combo. I bet that'd be great. I would love to see that. I didn't watch how did Emma Sears look. I actually thought Emma Sears looked okay. I thought she was lively. I think she provided good width and got the balls in. That was probably some of our most promising parts of the attack came when Emma Sears subbed on. That being said, everything else was so garbage. I don't even know that you can say it as a positive, really. It was there, but it wasn't getting anywhere. You know what I mean? KS, thank you for the pumpkins. Appreciate you. Shaw gave some love too. Shaw did have some really nice moments. I agree. But Rose Lavelle had some nice moments too, right? A couple of people had nice moments. but everything was so off and we lacked cohesion in really any meaningful sense at any point in this game. That it's, it's hard. Like it shouldn't be that I can be like, this player did one nice thing once, so it wasn't all lost. Like that's a rough go for us. Okay, let's see. Sonnet is better with Gurma, but honestly, the backline wasn't great. Oh no, Foxy was not good today either. Like she was out of position too. I mean, she was drifting into the midfield in a way that was not helpful at all. Like why she was just drifting to the central midfield, and I didn't like it. Let's see. We looked better when Shaw came in. I did think that improved. Felt like I was watching a game of curling, boring, and constantly just bonking into each other. I agree. What lineup do you want to see Sunday? You know what? Give me Emily Sams. Give me Emily. Let's put in Emily Sams. Let's put in somebody that's like playing in a backline currently. I don't know. Who do you think was the best player tonight? Probably Rose Lavelle. That's probably Rose, I think. Let's see, who are my starting forwards? I liked the starting lineup you had up top. I think that was the correct starting lineup. It just didn't work. US lacked legs in the middle, and that midfield, a Hutton or maybe Corbin type player. The days of Heaps as an 8. Heaps has never been an 8, really. Like she's never truly been an 8. She's been forced to do 8 things, but she's not really an 8. Like she works in a vibesy midfield, but this was not the game for a vibesy midfield. So I'm struggling to think of someone who played well. I'm trying to think of someone who played well, and I'm struggling to think of someone. Yeah, I think that there are players you can point to who had nice moments. Like I do think Shaw had a nice showing when she came on. And I thought Sears was, for what I've seen her do so far with the U.S. Women's National Team, not bad. Patterson played better in the second half. That's fair. I would say that. In the attack anyway, because she was staying wider, right? I have the defense is a problem. Off topic, but do you watch Hanna Lundqvist? She's been outstanding this year, and she's also Swedish. I do watch her, and she's not my favorite, if I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry to Hanna. She's been better for Wave than she has been for the Swedish national team, but she's a weak spot for me sometimes. Okay, thought Emma should have subbed at half. I think so, but I think she wanted to, from what she said, because it wasn't like a direct interview, but what Melissa Ortiz reported that she said. I think she was trying to give those players a chance to like dig in and do something different after being yelled at in the locker room, it sounds like. And that's fair, because I think that's an important test, is how are your players going to respond to, hey, that was really, really bad and we need to adjust this. So that's something to learn about your team and what they can do when things aren't going their way, right? So I'm okay with it from that sense of not subbing at halftime. Do I think it was poor enough that people should have been subbed at halftime? Probably, yeah. Why not start Sentnor? And then, who would you start on top next game? I mean, I think you should give Sentnor some more minutes now. I think you should put on Sentnor. Why not? Is a U23 player being brought in, supposedly, but I thought that was going to be announced yesterday. And I haven't heard who that is. Raylan Turner should have been called up. I agree. Oh, Lauren is going to the game in Connecticut on your 21st birthday. Well, happy 21st birthday almost, and enjoy it. If you do a bevy, I hope you enjoy a bevy for your 21st birthday. That'll be fun. Okay, there's all sorts of people going, whose fault were the goals? Whose fault weren't they? No, look, it's poor set piece defending. So, that comes down to a couple of things. What was the game plan is really my first question when I look at set piece defending. So it's not really like an individual, did somebody screw up? It is backing up what were we supposed to be doing? What roles were we given? That's kind of the first question I would assess when I'm trying to figure out what went wrong on a set piece. And then once that's the question, it's like, okay, who didn't do their job on that? And if everyone technically did their job, was it a poor design then? But I don't know what the design was. So it's hard to say. But I do think on the first goal, if you've got 2 defenders on somebody and that attacker then wins the ball, that's probably both of you. Can we see a dog? Well, they just ran into the living room. So no, unfortunately not. But I have 3 there, and we'll bring them back at some point. And again, if you're just joining me, we're debriefing U.S. Women's National Team's 2-1 loss to Portugal. I am on both TikTok and I am on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, you probably have a better chance of getting your questions answered, just because there's 244 of you on TikTok and 27 of you on YouTube. But I do my best to answer both. Okay, who would I bring in as the U23 replacement? Maddie Darlene as a left back. Just hear me out. But maybe like give me a Lily Real next game though. I do want to see that. That's not a U23 question, but that's what I want to do. Do you think they are actually yelled at in the locker room, or do they all know it was that bad? I don't know that it was an actual yell, but it sounded pretty. I think it was a pretty stern talking to. I think it was quite stern. And yeah, they know, right? Of course, you know it's not going well. Like you're not an idiot. You know that's what's happening. But like the coach is still going to talk to you about that. And you know, I think she sounded deeply frustrated. So I don't think it was a kind conversation. I don't think it was a like lift you up type of thing. Because the quotes from Melissa Ortiz from the interview with Emma Hayes were, if my talk didn't motivate them at halftime, the bench coming in certainly will. So like that was not a good, whatever was said at halftime, you know, sounded like it was not good. So let's see. I hope it's a right or left back that gets called in as the U23 player or called done. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if she's not getting minutes, she's pretty good there. I believe this is not the game for speedsters. They needed more control and sustained attack and not rushing things every time they got the ball. I think you could have played this game as speedsters. These speedsters, it didn't work because what was happening, and you saw it so often, we were like getting condensed into these spaces. So there's one play in particular that comes to mind where like we were transitioning into the attacking third and everybody was all the way to the right. And if there had still been anybody actually providing width, you could have 1-2 switched it and somebody would have been in on the left. Super easy. But we were so far over to the point that, you know, the player that was in at the time that should have been playing on the left was like past the center line of the field all the way onto the right side as well. It was just, we shifted way far over. And that kept happening offensively and defensively, where we were just shifting so far and not providing any of that space or that outlet. And that tends to happen when you don't have a midfield that's holding in the midfield and giving structure to shift it. So anyway, it was a mess. Let's see. Dennis played 300 minutes of soccer since the Olympics. Yeah, agreed. That's the problem. What is Heaps' actual job right now? So she plays for Leon. I'm just kidding. But no, I know what you mean. Yeah, that works. Like Heaps can work when you are breaking down a low block, which is what she does at Lyon. And when everybody can run and flow off of each other like that, it doesn't work for what was happening here. Portugal is our new Sweden. It seems like it. Feels like it. Let's see. Outside back is such a physically demanding position. I think the days of done are over. I mean, there's a reason that you don't see a lot of people play it past 30. There's a reason. I think LaBonta needs playing time. I'd like to see that. With the way our outside backs played today, I'll take the chance. Thoughts on LaBonta? Everybody's asking about LaBonta. Actually, it's just Emma on here who's asked multiple times about LaBonta. I think LaBonta could have added a lot to this game. So we'll see what happens with the next one. I missed the game. Who, if anyone, played well? No. PTJ was fine. I don't have an issue with PTJ. I don't have an issue with her on the goals. Would I have called Flint in? I think Flint or Howell would have been very interesting. I think they both played quite well. And I like Flint's size. I think it's really unique to have a player of that size. I think we're a little small sometimes. Can Patterson play in the midfield? I think she probably could, but I don't think that's going to help. Like, we have midfielders. It's just the combination of who you're putting in. So justice for Croy, agree. I thought Rose was fine. I thought Rose had nice moments on the ball. I thought Rose positionally was not helpful on defense, really. Like, she was just not in the right spots. And again, that's she and Heaps both want a vibe, and you can't have somebody's got to not be vibes, right? Flint over Heaps both got height, and Flint. I mean, like Heaps. Okay, so Heaps has some height. She is a much better aerial threat. Like, she's a very good aerial threat, even though she's only like 5'9". Flint is like always going to be the tallest player on the field unless Wendy Renard's playing. She's a pretty special height on that. Anyway, let's see. We're not getting rid of Heaps. Since you think Heaps and Rose don't play well together, who would you choose? Game specific for sure. Because again, that's the problem. Is like, you know, as we just talked about, Heaps is your best aerial threat on this team. There's a value for that. But Rose Lavelle is Rose Lavelle, and she's just fantastic. So I don't know what you do with that. Usually it's not a problem because Rose is injured. Do I think Lily is too young? No, I do not. But I think like this game, I would have liked to see her honestly sit back in that midfield a little bit more, almost in a double pivot with Hutton, or if Coffee had slid on with Coffee. Is there any chance that Heaps fades? It seems like the only reason she's able to start now is that she's captaining. No, I would be surprised to see her fade. I wouldn't say no chance. There's always a chance, but I would be surprised. Yeah, Heaps is 5'9". I don't consider that to be like. It's tall. It's not like outside the realm of normal tall, if that makes sense. And Taylor Flint is 6'1". That's outside the realm of normal tall for me. Once you cross that 6 foot line as a woman, I think you're into a different realm of tall. Yeah. Let's see. Do you think Schrader breaks in if Johannes doesn't win the starting spot at OL? No. I think that they have made their thoughts on Schrader pretty clear by not including her on the U23 roster here. I don't know if that's, again, for off field or if that's for on field. It could very easily be both. So I think if our midfield would have had more control on the ball, we would have looked better, rough moments, but definitely still better. I think that's fair. The midfield had no real control of this game at any point. So need to bring the magnetic tactical board out for these post-game lives. I haven't done a tactics thing with the board in a minute. So yeah, I'm due. I owe you all one of those, I think. Do I think Giselle will be pulled up from the U23? No, I don't. I miss Gurma. Yeah, we all miss Gurma. Yeah, agreed. Emma said they didn't expect Portugal's formation, then why didn't she change it? Yeah, that's a good question. That is her job. I also don't know why they didn't expect Portugal's formation, because this was what they played against us in 2023. So I know they played the 5 back most of Euros, so they were probably just expecting that. But one would think you might also prepare for what they did against you the prior time that was pretty effective. Even though I know it's like not her team, right? That was Vlatko's team, but still. Yeah. Do I think Ashley Sanchez has a chance of coming back? No, I do not. I think that is not happening. Do you think we'll see someone from U23 who is not a U.S. youth national team favorite? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I have no idea who she's picking or what she's doing. I don't think it's like positional. I don't think it's like a like for Robin, right? So we'll see. Are we ever going to be free of the Coffee Rose Heaps? We have other midfielders now. You're not going to be free of that for a while. I don't think. I think Emma Hayes is going to keep pounding that one in, just trying to find a way to make it work. And I don't know that I blame her. They'll be free of it when one of them gets injured. Is Claire knocking on Coffee's doorstep? No, I don't think so. I think if anything, it's more of a like play them both together use case. Who was your woman of the match? I don't know. I think Shaw had a nice time coming back. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Do I think Wesley has a chance to solidify herself in this back line? I do not. I'm not super high on her. But we'll see. Could be wrong. What, in your opinion, is the best starting midfield? I'd like to see a little more. I'd like to see a Coffee, Johannes, Rose midfield currently and see what that looks like. And then find a way to get Shaw and Macario involved too, which I know is not like a midfield, but that's just more about the vibing of the attack. Avery Patterson MVP today, no doubt. Look, better second half. I can't say that. Can we see Kat at the 10? I don't hate that. First person I would have subbed off. I don't know. It was all bad, man. It was all, and this is like, I feel for Emma Hayes now because she was saying that. She's like, I don't know. It was like whack-a-mole because a new issue would pop up every time I thought I could solve the other one, and it would just complicate things. And that's how I feel watching it too. So, I think Kat was a ball hog this game. I think it was less that. Like, I just didn't see people like moving for her option-wise. Like, where were her options to play it off? Like, half the time she'd get the ball and it was everything collapsed on her already. What about Savannah DeMello? I think also done. Let's see. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up on YouTube. Let's see. Okay. If Germa's back, who in this roster would you want to see her with? I don't care. If Germa's back, I don't care. it's fine. Like you can play anybody else with her. Thoughts on Alyssa? I thought the final third was just completely off tonight, and I don't understand it. Fox looked tired. Agreed. Alyssa was just getting shut down by her defender. That's why she was disappearing. I mean, Alyssa doesn't disappear. Alyssa was a player I saw a lot of in the first half, yeah, but the second half, like she was there, and then the last decision was just poor every time. Would you rather have Sam Meza or Lola Bonta? I would have LaBonta, I think. Let's see. All right, y'all. I have to run because I got to take care of the dogs and figure out what's going on with dinner and stuff. But I will be back Sunday. You all will be back Sunday. This will hopefully be better Sunday. We'll see something different. So we'll see. But good night to anybody on the East Coast-ish. And I'll see you all Sunday. Let's fucking go. Hopefully. Let's see if I can end it. Okay. YouTube, I always say bye to you last. See y'all. End stream. There it is.